everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Stephanie from Magnesium Media, and we're back here at Tucker's Performance with Rick Tucker, the man himself, because we love Tucker. I call him Tucker. Let me just say it right now, okay? We love Tucker, okay? Anyway, we are here with this very special one of one, and Tucker, tell us about this car.
This car is a Berger Chevrolet Corvette high-performance car. Berger did mostly Camaros and Chevelles as high-performance cars, much in the same way that Dickie Harrell and Don Yanko and Motion Performance and everyone else was building them. In the 60s, he specialized in Camaros and Chevelles, but in 1968 and 69, he built one in each year he built and sold.
Okay.
The 68 car, we know where it is, we can't buy it. And the 69 car, we found this, oh gosh, it's about 6 years ago now. And it came with all the documents. It was pretty rough, but it is the one of one. And what this amounts to is when Berger would sell a car, a high-performance car, it would be a combination of things that they would put on the car after the factory delivered the car to make it unique in a high-performance car.
Okay.
The sell for this is they made a 450 horsepower Corvette, okay, which was actually more than you could buy because the biggest motor that Chevy was selling at the time in the Corvette was 435 horse.
Okay.
It was done with a variety of options, starting with the side exhaust, different camshaft tuning. They had a dynamometer tune. They would actually. It's a great story, and we'll segue into it. When I had gotten a chance to talk to Dale Berger himself before he passed away, wonderful man. He had insight into this car. I was amazed that he could remember this car. And I asked why, because I had sent pictures and documents for the car. I said, how do you remember the car? He said, very simple. He said, I never ordered a car for stock except a 4-speed car. They were all 4-speeds.
Okay.
This is an automatic.
Oh.
So he said, I remember the car and I remember the circumstance, which was rather exciting for me because I'm thinking, wow, this is a gold mine, you know. And he talked about, you know, they were selling these cars at the time, selling Camaros and Chevelles. And at the time, doing a Corvette was out of the norm. So he would order a customer car, basically. He'd order a car that a customer wanted, the color, the basic options, you know, and then when the car got there, the way that they did the Berger thing was very interesting.
Now, real quick, because there may be some people watching, they don't know you're talking about Berger. Who's Berger?
Dale Berger owns a company called Berger Chevrolet. They're a huge Chevrolet dealer still in Michigan. Okay. They still are selling high-performance Camaros, and they're well known in the Chicago or Detroit area and that end of the country. Everybody knows them. Berger's a big name all over the country because of these kinds of cars. Okay. And of course the Camaros and the Chevelles were so much like Yanko and everyone else was doing. So the idea of being able to sell a car that you advertise as a 450 horsepower car was interesting to me because he did not start this. I found this interesting to begin with. I said, why did you start with a 400 horsepower motor? It was a tri-power motor. It's triple carbureted. Okay. But it's not the top of the heap 435 horse motor that Chevrolet was building. And I had a feeling I knew why. That the 400 horsepower motor was very much the same architecture as the 390 horsepower motor, 427s in 69. Cylinder head configuration, they're called oval port motors. The compression ratio was nominal. It wasn't as high as the 435 horse. It was a hydraulic lifter motor, camshaft, you know, and they were great drivers. With the triple carburetors, they made a lot of torque. Okay. They were really great street cars. And he said to start building with this made sense. And I get it because the cylinder heads that came on the motor, higher mixture velocity and such for what he wanted to do tuning it. Right. Then when it got to the dealership, they would sell, because they had basically a speed shop counter at Berger. They think they still do at Berger Chevrolet in the parts department. They'd sell the camshaft and the lifters they were going to put in it, the timing set they were going to put in it, the pieces for the distributor, the side exhaust that they put on it, all of those bits. Okay, they'd sell them to the customer. The reason that this was done this way is by 1969 there were emission laws.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So the dealer technically could not tamper with the car. It was set up for emissions the way it came from the factory. You know, you couldn't do it. And that was a question that I had in my mind, and I skirted the issue with Dale, and Dale, in a sense, came clean. He said, we didn't. He said, what we would do is we'd sell the parts to the customer, and then there was a shop around the corner that they would take it to. This, I guess, kind of like our shop here.
Right, okay.
That would put all the stuff on the car and get the initial tune done, and then it went back to Burgess Chevrolet to go on their chassis dynamometer to verify and be able to tune it to get that horsepower rating that they wanted to sell.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, it was a cool way to do it, and it kept the dealership out of trouble, and it gave the customer exactly what he wanted.
Right.
And depending on where the customer was registering the car, it would be of no real effect to the customer probably either.
Right,
you know?
right.
So that said, this car was sold as a 450 horsepower car. With the way it was set up and tuned, it made 450 horsepower legitimately.
Tucker, there's a couple things about this vehicle that really stand out to me. So I may not know the intricate details or specifics of cars, but I am a girl that looks at them and is like, oh, okay. So first of all, really cool. This exhaust right here. Okay. Now you called this, what did you call it?
It's a side exhaust.
Side exhaust, yeah. But you said it was like
it was made by a particular company. Hooker made these. Hooker Headers, believe it or not, was the name of the company.
Hop in, Hooker. We're going shopping.
Well, I knew this was going to go in the hopper. Hooker hopper.
Sorry, back on track. Okay.
Yeah, they were also known as leg burners.
Leg burners, yeah, yes. Okay.
Because they get really hot and there's no heat shield over them.
If you try one,
how about you try it?
No,
I have burned my leg numerous times on motorcycles, so I get that. Yes, and for somebody like me that struggles to get in and out,
yeah, they're not good.
I can only imagine.
They're not good. If you remember the ZL1 car, the blue car that we did feature on, those were actually factory side exhausts. Now, 69 was the only year of this second generation of Corvette that had those.
Okay.
And they didn't flow as well as these, but the covers were made so that you could put your leg against them. They're insulative.
Right.
You wouldn't burn your leg. The factory couldn't sell something like this, really. I mean, that had to be an owner installed, which we discussed.
Gotcha.
Option. And they make power because they have no back pressure. So,
can you imagine? Like, okay, so you make this your daily driver, and whoever's in the passenger, over time, you just have like layers of like skin on your exhaust.
No, that doesn't happen. Once burned, twice afraid. Okay.
True, but I'm just saying. Okay, me like getting out in heels, and then a little slip.
Every day.
Oh.
Did she ever ride on a Harley?
Yes.
Okay.
It hurts.
Then you know.
Yeah, it hurts.
Okay.
It hurts.
You don't.
But I would never get on any motorcycle without jeans.
I'm with you. How people ride with shorts on is beyond me. They haven't experienced road rash.
Right? Yeah.
Jeans really won't keep a lot of the road rash away.
But it's better than like when you see people in shorts on motorcycles. I'm like, what are you doing? It's crazy.
So it's a cool car. The options that were put on this car were interesting. It had the normal fare of power steering, power brakes, power windows. It had the louver trim like we saw in the other 69, red line tires. It actually came with the same. This car came. It was funny that it was ordered with the same turbine wheel covers like the black car that we did.
Really?
And as soon as the car got in and they were doing all of the high performance work, I think the owner thought they were a little bit too dressy with the side exhaust. It's the same wheel underneath, so they put the trim rings and center caps on this, and I've got the set of PO2 covers they called.
Okay.
It's an option number, but the turbine wheel covers. And these do look better on this car. It's more muscular than the turbine covers, which kind of led into the story when you were paralleling it a minute ago with the tuxedo car. It's good call.
Yes.
But yeah, the colors are interesting. Fathom green was a popular color in 69. I didn't really care for it because it had too much black in it.
Okay.
So I'm not going to tell you what I did, but this is not Fathom green.
It's not. So what is this green?
but I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, what the? That's not fair. Tucker. Well, listen,
Really what it is
Okay.
is it's closer to the 1970 color called Donnybrook green.
Okay.
It's got, instead of so much black, it's got a fine gold metallic in it, which really makes the car pretty. And it works well with the beige top.
Maybe that's why, to me, it's kind of like, I know it's not emerald green, but it's reminding me of an emerald green.
Yeah, in the factories, if I could show you the number of greens that just GM used over the years, there's hundreds and hundreds that we would call dark green. You know?
Yeah.
But it was particularly on these cars. Again, it's like every one of these that we do. A black car should be black.
Right.
Do you like that ZL1 car because it was that particular blue that we mixed up and made?
Yeah.
That Glacier Gray car.
Yeah.
This, if I painted it in Fathom Green, it was just a little bit dead. And, and it's so close that if I didn't tell you, you'd never know. It just makes it look a lot better with the tan and with the green interior.
Well, like you said too, you over restore.
Oh yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
So you can't go for, if it's gonna, in your mind, if it's gonna look dull in any way, it's got to be cut, right?
I paint over the details when we're building the cars.
I'm sure.
So the concept was Dale Burgess.
Right.
Okay. Burgess Chevrolet. The car, you know, as it came to us, was well worn. I don't know how many owners it had. It had probably 2 or 3 before we got it, but it needed everything. So then it's a canvas where again, the over restoring idea. Let's take all of the things that are supposed to be on the car, make sure everything is there,
right,
and then some.
Right. Because
we over detail, we want to, if we juice the color up a little bit, or we probably, you know, try to install a convertible top better than the factory did.
Oh yeah.
We try to the engine compartment detailing. They were not nearly that pretty the way they came from the factory. So it becomes, you know, for me, it becomes jewelry. All of the items do. Yeah. So every piece needs to be right.
You know, I want to take a peek in the car because when I saw the carpets in this car, it's kind of nostalgic for me. And when we were looking at the tuxedo car as well, I thought it, and I don't remember if I mentioned it, but the reason it's nostalgic for me is because when I see this carpet, this is not carpet that's in cars right now. It's definitely not. No. This carpet makes me think of when I was a kid and we owned a van. I honestly, it was kind of like the B.A. Baracus van kind of a thing. It was black and it had red trim, and inside was a black and red carpet. Mm-hmm. And it looked like the fibers in this, like it just, I don't know, it's something in my mind. When I saw that, it brought me back to my childhood, that's that same carpet.
For a long while, once you could buy what they called the deluxe interior, which mm-hmm. didn't happen until 1970 or 71. I'm sorry, but it was leather seating. The tuxedo car, you could order leather seats,
right?
But it became a package where they put wood grain trim and they put cut pile carpet, which was what you're more in the more modern days used to. Okay. This is loop carpet. Yeah, it's a loop pile carpet.
Okay, yes.
Okay, and it's typically, you know, they don't use just one color. They may mix the green with a little black, and then the piping is a little bit different. So it had its own feel. You know, loop pile carpet was a little, I don't know, I think it wore better than cut pile.
I think it's beautiful. And maybe it's cool. A lot of people don't appreciate the difference. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, and I don't know why, but I just think that this carpet is like, this is the carpet that should be in all cars. I think so.
And I think one of the reasons that you think about it, okay, one of the reasons that you don't dwell on carpeting very much is that for the most part, the very first thing that you put in car were the floor mats. And in these, you could get 2 colors, clear or black. Okay. So if you put the black floor mats in it to protect the carpet, it took the whole beauty of the interior away.
Yeah.
You know, we don't, you know, if you noticed, I mean, when Sal brought this over, we had microfiber cloths where you put your feet to get in it because we don't want to soil the carpeting. Yeah. And we wanted to stay looking the way the factory would have wanted it to look.
Yes.
I try to make a car present like GM would have if they were putting it in a Motorama back in the day. You know, so yeah, the carpet, if it's new and it's clean and it's crisp, and on the driver's side it has the heel pads and everything.
Yep.
That, you know, that you can really see. it's a great part of the interior.
Yeah, it is.
And then if it's installed properly, that's the other thing.
Right?
You know, if it's nice and tight the way that it should be
Yeah.
to the floor, you know, it's a great part of what you may not even think that you're looking at when you let's pull the key out. That was called a key buzzer, probably one of the most annoying sounds ever. But
Okay. Your hair look good?
I don't know. The mirror's not big enough.
Mirror's not big enough for Tucker's hair. Can I push a radio button?
Do whatever you want.
I love these buttons.
Yeah, you got to push fairly hard on it.
Why am I not doing it enough? I'm doing it.
No, that's it. Are you 5 years old?
Yeah, that's really stiff. And it's probably because
I love pushing
that's
buttons.
AM and FM. You see the dial turns over, and you know, and then of course
So
it
your
was.
husband got you
Gotcha.
like pushing buttons.
Don't give me a hard time. Okay? Sheesh.
Another mirror.
This This feels very spacious. It's absolutely beautiful. And, you know, he mentioned before, I am not a fan of green. I'm really not. But there's something about this interior. I think it's just beautiful.
Do you see why I wanted to change the color and put a little gold in the metallic?
Yes, I do. And I see
because
it.
you see it here in,
Yes.
in the vinyl.
Yes, I don't know. Well, yeah,
And
I guess it's picking up on camera.
what we do when we restore these is we will dye all of this stuff.
Okay.
We'll dye all of it.
Everything, the console, everything,
Well,
right?
everything that we have to restore, or that the stuff that I can save. This car, the dash top was good if I remember, but the dash faces, because it was actually a race car.
Oh.
The guy that bought it actually raced this car. So I mean,
Okay.
there was body damage, there was all kinds of things. And they'd had these panels in and out so many times that they were ruined. And I found some absolutely mint used ones. So we went ahead and dyed all of this, and then what we would do is, because in Michigan is not like in Las Vegas.
Right.
You know, the damp climates allow the vinyl not to really get destroyed unless it was manhandled.
Right.
So we were able to save the door panels, and we dyed those. We dyed all of this upper trim. You know, we'll repair the trim if it's worn out.
Okay.
You know, but these are the original visors. We just every piece we'll go over.
It's got to be difficult. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm thinking, when you dye a piece, right? Now I understand that different pieces are going to take differently to dyeing, right? And then if there's parts of the car that are more worn than others, is it more challenging to dye that part than the others? Like, it's got to be kind of like a science to get it all the same.
The science is the material that you use. Okay, the dyes actually want to really bite
Okay.
the vinyl. You have to get the vinyls very, very clean first to be able to do it. But what it gives you in the end that you did not get from the factory, if you look at the tone, the sheen of all of this, it's all the same.
Right. Well, yeah, that's
they
what
were
I'm
not
thinking
like
about.
this from the factory. You
Right.
know, this one piece would be shinier than the other piece.
Yeah.
You know, so again, it's the over restoration thing. But when you've got everything so that you've got all really nice pieces, and you dye it the whole lot with the proper color, and the dye has to have a flex agent in it and everything so that it can be cleaned, it's
Right.
as durable as the original colored vinyl was. And then you add all the details, like the proper screws with the trim washers, you know, the chrome ones, the black ones, you know,
Yeah.
all of those things, the instrument bezels, all of this stuff that really you don't think about until you turn everything on.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a really cool interior. And the interesting part too about Corvettes is that 69 gave you some shoulder room. 68, the first year of this body, they poorly designed the door panels, and they lost, if you could imagine, the interior 2 inches narrower.
Really?
There was an inch here more that your shoulder was in, and it really,
Oh, then yeah.
it was too much. You
it's
know,
just
they
about touching.
redesigned the door panels in 1969. There were a lot of improvements. In 69, the car became a really nice car. That's why my very first new one was a 69. I saw what was happening. You look at this stuff see that triangular piece right there in the dash?
Yes.
That is a cover for a cowl brace. And the original 68 cars, they share the same frame that the 63 had.
Okay.
Very torsionally weak. And the factory put braces in the frame behind where you sit in big ones. And then they also put these cowl braces in. There's a huge panel that's underneath the console that's riveted to the floor. And then these braces go all the way up to the corners and into where the steering post and everything is to stop the car the cowl shift or cowl twist, cowl shake they call it, was the car trying to do this.
Okay.
I had a 68 for a while, and it was a new one, and the car wore me out. It was a convertible. I could go over railroad tracks back home. This is in Maine.
Right.
Go over railroad tracks and the passenger door would pop open. There was so much twist in the car.
Oh my God.
And we have eventually adjusted that out of it, and I also adjusted the car out of my possession.
I can imagine.
Because I hated the car.
Yeah.
But 69 was a whole different, these were just so much better.
Now, let me ask you a question. Earlier, you said that with this car, there was one in 68 and one in 69, but you mentioned that the one in 68 you couldn't get. Is that because the person is like holding on to it for dear life? They don't want to give it up?
I believe that's it.
Yeah.
It's funny how when people know you really want something,
right?
That's,
like, nope.
If we wait long enough, it may become available, but I don't know how much it would cost. And it was the idea of having both of them is really not that important, to do one. And I was just tickled that I was able to talk to Dale Berger. Matt, his son, is just a wonderful man. He's running that whole deal now since Dale passed away.
Yeah.
And just a wonderful family. And the cars that they did, I mean, all of them, we'll be showing the one we're building now at McCacken, the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals in Chicago. And that's a big stomping ground for Berger cars.
Really?
You go to that show, there's 520 or 30 invited cars. You have to be invited. But Berger Chevrolet, you'll keep seeing those logos over and over again because they built a lot of cars in 68, 69, 70. I think from 67, they were doing Camaros. So very popular name, great cars, great family. And we were glad that we could make the tradition, particularly for this car, being one of one. I mean, to be able to restore it so it was 10/10.
Yeah.
It was an honor. So
now, how long did this restoration take?
This one I have to think back because it's been done for like 5 years.
Oh, really?
It doesn't get used very much, and I think the original mileage. Yeah, I think we restored this. We zeroed it when we did because the speedometer was broken in the car too. But I think this car probably has 40 or 50,000 miles on it from new. Okay. And a lot of it was on the drag strip, so it was used up pretty well. But we had all of the paperwork, the tank sticker, the bill sheet, the dealer copies. We had everything, and then the letter of authenticity from Berger, and his participation, the family's participation in helping us get the last little bits, the decal, and he sent all kinds of memorabilia, license plates.
Oh, really?
They're just wonderful people. So yeah, it was cool. The car has all of the documents that prove that this is the car, and it's a unique car.
Yeah. Well, it's a one of one. Of course, it's unique.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you can't get more unique than that.
Well, people, it's funny that people that understand these, the hot rod hobby would hone in on by Berger. But there's so many people that have seen this car. If I had it uncovered or whatever at the shop, or was in the shop when we were finishing it, they just liked the color combination, and then they'd ask why does it have those exhausts on it, and why does this and that, and you tell them the story, and
right? It
starts to make sense. But yeah, it's the rarity, and I think the color combination. Most people say green.
No, it's beautiful.
It is.
It really is beautiful, especially with the highlight of gold, because you can see it absolutely.
Yeah, and all the little bits of trim. But I've told Bob about the louver trim. That option was a $34 option. And it's, if you just put the louver trim on the four side louvers under the Stingray emblem, they look good. But when we did the body work, we'll close that gap right in against the louvers.
Right.
That takes hours and hours and hours of work that nobody would ever know if I didn't tell you.
Hold on a second. There was a $34 option for something on a car. If you tried to get Nowadays, an option for $34, they'd be like,
The most
get the hell out.
most expensive options, the engine options, believe it or not, this is a pretty fancy motor for less than $400. I think it was. The option was right around $400 extra.
Wow. Can we go back to that time, please?
Yeah.
Right?
It was a really
Oh
it was
my
a neat time.
gosh.
It was a neat time. I can distinctly remember when these cars were new, and that's probably why I get so excited about restoring 69s in particular.
Absolutely. Now you drive around and all you see are bubble cars driving around. Everything is the same. There's nothing different.
The shape,
they all look the same.
yeah.
It's boring.
I'm a car guy, and it's embarrassing because Liz like, what kind of car is that? And I don't know. Let me see if I can read an emblem. I have no idea. I don't care.
Yeah.
And couple the fact that they do. They all look kind of like a bar of soap.
Yeah.
Other
exactly.
than when you live out here in the desert, everything is silver or white.
I know.
Well,
right?
and there's a big pull on black right now.
Yep.
I don't understand that because
I truly would love it if manufacturers brought in the bright colors. You shouldn't have to wrap your car all the time. And don't get me wrong, wraps are fantastic. But if you could go in and buy a hot pink car or a fluorescent yellow car or whatever, I mean, I don't understand why they don't have the options, because there's so many people out there now that love the colors. They don't want boring white and silver.
And I agree, but I think the biggest thing that went away was the choice of interior colors.
Yeah.
Everything's got a gray interior, or a slate interior, and you might get, a tan interior in a Mercedes or a Porsche or whatever. Porsche is a whole other thing. You can get any color you want, but I mean the offset colors, for the interior to the exterior, and even if it's the same deal like this, it just you can't get a green like this.
No.
And if you did, it would be a gray interior.
Yep.
Just
Rolls-Royce doesn't play with interiors. They have some amazing colors in their interiors. Yeah.
Well, they have an amazing price tag.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty much you can order pretty much whatever you want.
Yep.
As
Pay for it.
yeah, as Porsche does, the options. I mean, you can
a la carte.
Yep.
pick steering wheel, is could be another
But
$4,000 or $5,000.
see, the thing is that if these other manufacturers gave you that option, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, make your basic, right? But give customers the option to pay the extra for those crazy colors they want.
You know what happened?
What?
You want me to tell you what happened? Can I say this?
I don't know.
I got to say it. Ralph Nader.
Okay.
Okay, he started ruining everything. When he went after the Chevy Corvette and they had to stop making it, he made such a deal. He all of a sudden became the crash dummy for all the cars that were ever built. By 1967, you couldn't have any kind of protruding dash knobs. Everything had to be flush, like these are. They all of these things that happened. That and the federal government started to build cars, so we had a ton of emissions options. Then people, I'm going to die in a car. We had to have airbags. We had to have 5-mile-an-hour bumpers. We had to have all of this kind of stuff that got put on cars. It drove the price of the car and the weight of the car to the moon. Something had to give.
Yeah.
So you
Take away the fun stuff.
Yeah, that's right. In 1969, Chrysler made all of the wildest colors.
Yeah.
Orange and yellows and lime greens and all the rest, and they had crazy names for all the colors. Sassafras green.
Yeah.
They had all of these crazy names for for the colors that they had. People loved it. In violet, they had, purple colors. You could get purple cars.
Yep.
70 Challenger that's purple with the bright options is a huge seller.
And then they took it all away.
They took it all away. And a car became more of a safety item now. You got to get cloaked inside and have 100 airbags.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Give me an old car any day without any of that crap in it.
Yeah, typically. The one thing that's good about these cars is the two worst accidents I've ever had in my life were both in Corvettes. And you crash them hard enough and they absorb a lot of energy because everything starts to break up in them.
Mm-hmm.
I had a brand new 71 that a guy was coming the other way. This is back home, 2-lane road. He had his blinker on and I was right at him at about, I don't know, speed limit was probably 45 miles an hour. And he just turned right into me. Hit me so hard, he drove right up over the hood,
Oh my
right
God.
on top of the motor.
Oh my God!
He was an old fella. you know, and I mean, it hit so hard that the headlight, the right side headlight, like these, came out and went about 150 yards down the street, just ripped it right out of the car. But the car, you know, I had my seat belts on, and it was the shoulder belts at the time really worked, and I never got a scratch. You know?
That's fantastic.
The car on the other hand was a total.
I'm sure.
3,000 miles.
I'll never forget that one. It?
Yeah, 3,000 miles.
Oh man, what a shame.
Not attitude. It's honesty.
How about you put my shoes on and you do this, okay?
This I gotta see.
Go ahead.
No, I don't. I just had a mind. I just no.
He pictured you in my
I gotta go in the office.
Rinse your eyes out with bleach.
Oh.
Take 97.
All right, back up. Anyway. Okay. Thank you, Tucker. That was extremely educational. I'm sure everybody enjoyed it just like me, learning so much about this one of one. And next week we're going to be back and we're going to be learning about what?
Let's try Fords. We've got a couple of Fords to show you.
What kind of Ford?
Well, I've got a Ford Bronco that we just did a frame off on.
That one right there?
It's a stock 73. We'll have to look at the modifications, but it's a pretty car. I mean, it really is. They didn't come that nice from Ford. And under it, we might later on dabble into that Super Cobra Jet Drag Pack Mark I, which is a very rare car. Under it, I'm
in.
Yeah,
I'm all in. I can't wait. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Make sure you're following Tucker's Performance on Instagram. And I can't wait till next week, Tucker. How about you?
I can't either.
Awesome. See you next time.